Good evening, everyone. Just in the nick of time, JFK pops his head in there. Love it. We're live for the Crocker Donovan prediction show. Huge fight in Belfast this Saturday night. IBF Final Eliminator at 147 pounds. Obviously, Duran Ennis, the current champ, fighting Stanionis in April to unify that belt. Boys, the atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane. Limerick versus Belfast in the main event here. It's a solid co-main event that we've just discussed. Craig Richards against Paddy McCrory. The crowd are going to be bang into it by then. Lewis Crocker, for me, he's got a little bit of pressure on his shoulders. I think he's gone in as the favourite for most of the build-up. As I mentioned last night, I think the pendulum's swinging back towards Paddy Donovan the closer it gets towards fight night. I'll do the usual and come to both of you for just a little outlaying your thoughts on the fight, and then we'll give all three of our predictions. Evening, Humble Crumble. Thanks for joining us. Jay, I'll start with yourself, my friend.
Evening, boys.
Evening, mate.
Evening, mate.
I sound like a broken record. I say this a lot, but I don't think this is an even as fight as we're being led to believe. I don't think Donovan's as good as people are making out, and I'm not dismissing him as being, you know, he's done things I could only dream of, and I'm not making out like I'm sort of a boxing Yoda, but I know enough about boxing to know what I see. And yeah, he's really good in bursts and spits and spurts when he's allowed to be. But I don't think that is at a level where this fight will go the distance. And I just believe that Crocker is, I won't say battle tested, but he's been in some hard fights. And, you know, we can argue the toss that maybe he didn't deserve the decision in the last fight, but you know, he got the win. I think it's a tough out for Donovan. I think Donovan's great if you allow him to pot shot you and keep his feet wide and jab overhand right, walk you onto uppercuts. Crocker ain't going to do that. Crocker's going to run across the ring from the start of the first round. He's going to try to impose himself. He's going to be looking for as many headshots as possible. He'll drill him to the body. He'll be standing on his feet. Donovan's not going to be able to pivot off. He's not going to be able to hide in the corners because he's just not, Crocker's not going to allow him to do that. He ain't going to have a second to breathe. And I believe that if he is as good as what they say, then he'll be able to pull through. I just haven't seen anything that makes me think that he can keep Crocker off him for 12 rounds.
Liam?
Yeah, look, it's an intriguing matchup. It's part two of Billy Nelson and Andy Lee after sort of the impromptu part one out in Saudi last week. As we know, it's a puncher and someone that looks for a brawl against someone who prefers to do their work off of the back foot and be a boxer. It's going to be whether or not Lewis Crocker has learned lessons from the Conor Walker fight in terms of not allowing himself to get caught on the inside of his chin in the air, and whether or not Paddy Donovan's able to take that next step from what we saw last year. So he's shown his boxing ability last year, and we know it's improving all the time. We know Andy Lee has said he's not the finished article yet. He still believes he's got a way to go. It's now about taking that next step because Lewis Crocker, like Jay's just said, will come running across the ring from the first bell and look to stick it on Paddy Donovan. And if Paddy Donovan isn't ready from the first bell, there is a chance he could get caught cold inside the first 2 or 3 rounds of this fight. It wouldn't at all surprise me to see Lewis Crocker win this early. I think in reality, we're going to get a very long, drawn-out war, and it will be about Paddy Donovan looking to set some traps for Lewis Crocker to fall into, and Lewis possibly becoming frustrated if he's unable to catch Paddy. Yes, I agree. We haven't seen Paddy tested in the same way we saw Lewis tested last year, but some fighters just need the right man in front of them. The Lewis Ritson performance was a step in the right direction. Yes, you can put asterisks on Lewis Ritson up it a wrong way. You know, nothing left to fight for in his career, but you still have to beat the man in front of you. And that was an impressive 10 rounds. Remember, when he fought Jose Felix had just knocked out Gary Cully. Yeah. Yes, Gary Cully we've now seen be beaten by Maxie Hughes. But at the time, people thought Gary Cully was going to go to a similar level to what we're seeing from Paddy now. So that was a statement knockout. He laid the traps. I'm unsure still which way I'm going to go in this fight. I think if Lewis Crocker starts red hot and sets the pace early, we're going to find out if Paddy Donovan has some cojones about him and is able to come through adversity and assert himself on a fight. But Lewis Crocker, we know, has a tendency of getting drawn into wars or putting himself into positions where he's getting caught too much, like we saw against Conor Walker. It's about what lessons has he learned from that last fight? Has Billy been able to reinstill into him what got him into a position where the Conor Walker fight was seen as a massive test for him?
Yeah, I think the Conor Walker win's kind of aging a little bit better now, isn't it? Do you think?
Mate, of course it is. Like, okay, Conor Walker needed that punch to stop Harry Scarf. He'd lost every other round, but it doesn't matter. That is now the British champion, and there is a narrative that there can be a rematch for the British and Commonwealth straps further down the line once once Conor's had his first defence. Absolutely, there's that narrative there. But you just question, don't you, is he able to box? Because if Paddy Donovan wants to make this into a boxing match, I actually think Lewis will struggle. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, before we get the prediction, just running for a few comments. Humble Crumble's got Donovan winning. Mickey was at the presser today. Big up, Mickey. Thanks for tuning in. 95% Crocker support as expected. I think support will be 70-30. Yeah, there'll be more travelling up from Limerick, I think, as it gets closer to the weekend for sure. Watch back the Walker fight. Yeah, the Walker fight could have gone either way, definitely. So yeah, plenty of Paddy Donovan picks in the comments. Luca's here. Big up, Luca. Hope you're well. Yes, I agree with what I'll start the predictions off. Luca, said I think Harry Scarf's better than Paddy Donovan and Crocker personally. Interesting. Styles make fights, don't they? Walker obviously was being 10-0 before he landed the shot in the 11th, and Ritson and Walker was a close enough fight, and Paddy, beat Ritson comfortably. It is what it is. For me, I think it's going to be a war, like you said, Liam. But I agree with what Jay said. I actually think Lewis Crocker is a level above Paddy Donovan. I think he's going to stop Paddy. I do. I think he's going to stop him in 7 or 8 rounds on Saturday night. I think it's going to be nip or tuck. There could be knockdowns. I think it's just going to, both men are going to have a game plan going in. Billy and Andy Lee are going to craft a game plan. That's going to go out the window after about 2 minutes. As soon as the crowd are into it, these boys are going to sit on each other's chests and just have it. And I think that fight's going to favour Lewis. If it is a boxing match, I think it favours Paddy more. But I'm going to go with Lewis Crocker to stop Paddy Donovan, boys. What do you think?
Same. Yeah, I think I said on I think that Crocker will TKO him inside 6 rounds. I think I'm definitely going for a Crocker stoppage. What do you think, Liam?
Interesting, Luca. Interesting. I do agree with you as well.
Yeah, look, Crocker deserves to be the favourite based off of his volume of work. He's had tougher tests to this point than Paddy Donovan. That's no denying that. The fact that betting's become more even shows this fight is a genuine 50-50. And for every bit of domestic dust-up as Buatsi and Smith was last weekend, this one has the potential to be the same. It just won't have as many eyeballs on it because it hasn't got the turkey bow around it. But for me, I'm favouring Paddy Donovan. I just think that he's going to show the boxing level that we've seen that he's had. He's just going to go to another level because of who's in front of him on Saturday night. I do think Lewis Crocker will land a knockdown early. Paddy is going to have to get up off the seat of his pants, but he's going to box in a rhythm. He's going to box to orders. And as the fight goes down the stretch, Lewis Crocker getting a bit desperate. Paddy's going to time him with a right hand and stop him in round number 10. So I'm going for a Paddy Donovan stoppage in round number 10.
Interesting. So we've got 2 Crocker stoppages, 1 Donovan stoppage. Mickey said, yeah, I do agree with this narrative around Crocker's power, though, to be fair. I do agree with that. To be fair to Tyrone McKenna, he's one of the toughest human beings I've ever seen in my life. You'd have to hit him with a hammer to get rid of him. He is very tough. But he landed flush on Walker, and Conor Walker's a tough guy as well. We've seen that. But I'm not sure Crocker's as big a puncher as we're being told he is. I know Billy's told us that he's knocked out middleweights in sparring and so on and so forth, but I'm yet to see this massive puncher that Crocker is at 147. Yeah, look, the Karen that fought Boots last time out, at this stage, probably would, in my opinion, Luca. But look, that's for another day. We'll leave it there. Obviously, big fight on Saturday. We'll cover it on the watch along. Lots more chat between now and then about it. Crocker Donovan. It's going to go off in Belfast. We'll be back in a couple of minutes covering the main event from the Barclays Centre in Brooklyn, Tank versus Roach. Thanks to Luca, Mickey, D-Dog, and Humble Crumble for the interaction. Anyone else that's joined, we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Bye-bye.